You got the thing, the job, the degree, the relationship, the number on the scale, and for a moment it felt like it was supposed to feel. Then the moment passed. What replaced it was not contentment. It was a quiet unease, a vague sense that something had gone wrong with the reward. The strange truth is that this is not a failure of the achievement. It is a flaw in the model itself. The arrival was never going to do what you believed it would. You have probably done the math in your head without realizing it. Once I finish this degree, I will finally feel settled. Once I get this promotion, the anxiety will ease. Once I lose the weight, I will be comfortable in my own skin. This is the calculation most of us run constantly, quietly, beneath everything else we are doing. Psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar gave this pattern a name, the arrival fallacy. He described it in his work on positive psychology as the illusion that reaching a particular destination will produce lasting happiness. The word fallacy is precise here. It does not mean the goal was wrong. It means the belief about what the goal would deliver was mistaken from the start. And the strange thing is that it does not announce itself. You do not feel yourself falling into it. It just feels like reasonable planning, like taking the future seriously. You make the goal vivid. You organize your time around it. You tell yourself that the discomfort you feel now is temporary and that the destination will feel permanent. What this episode is really about is not how to stop wanting things. It is about understanding why the map we use to navigate desire keeps leading us to the same disappointing territory, and what a more honest map might look like. There is a moment, usually a few days or weeks after the achievement, when you start to feel the floor drop out. The excitement fades. The thing you worked toward is now just your life. And you begin scanning the horizon for the next thing that will finally do it. This is not weakness. It is a well-documented feature of the brain's prediction machinery. Daniel Kahneman, in Thinking Fast and Slow, describes how the mind consistently misjudges the emotional impact of future events. We tend to overestimate both how good the good things will feel and how long that feeling will last. Kahneman and his collaborator Timothy Wilson called this tendency effective forecasting error, and across dozens of studies, they found that people were systematically wrong about their own future emotional states. The reason is partly that we focus on the achievement in isolation. We imagine the promotion, but not the new pressure, the longer hours, the colleagues who resent us. We imagine the relationship, but not the ordinary Tuesday evenings when nothing is particularly romantic. The mind fills in a vivid foreground and leaves the background blank. The background is where most of life is actually lived. There is a second force at work too. Hedonic adaptation, studied extensively by Sonia Lyubomirsky in The How of Happiness, describes how humans return to a relatively stable emotional baseline after almost any event, positive or negative. Lottery winners and people who have experienced serious accidents tend, after about a year, to report similar levels of life satisfaction. The nervous system does not accumulate joy, it normalizes it. What felt extraordinary becomes ordinary with enough repetition, and what felt permanent fades without our permission. What surprises me most about the arrival fallacy is not that it exists, but how quickly we forget we have already lived it. You have arrived before, maybe many times, and each time the feeling lasted less than you expected, and the next goal appeared almost immediately to fill the space. Viktor Frankl, writing in Man's Search for Meaning in 1946, described what he observed in people who organized their entire lives around a single anticipated outcome. When the goal was reached, or when circumstances took it away, what remained was a kind of existential vacuum. Not depression exactly, but a hollowness that goals had been filling without ever resolving. This is the part that feels uncomfortable to sit with. The hollowness is not a signal that you chose the wrong goal. It is a signal that goals, by design, cannot fill it. The structure of striving itself creates a temporary meaning that collapses on contact with its own success. Kahneman draws a distinction that is useful here, between what he calls the experiencing self and the remembering self. The experiencing self lives in the moment. The remembering self constructs a story about that moment afterward. The arrival fallacy lives almost entirely in the remembering self. We plan for a memory of triumph. We do not plan for the texture of a random Wednesday 3 months later, which is when most of life actually happens. And so the pattern repeats, not because you are broken and not because ambition itself is the enemy, but because the belief underneath the goal, the belief that arrival will finally make things feel complete, has never been examined closely enough to be questioned. The answer is not to stop caring about goals. Goals give structure. They create the conditions for growth, for mastery, for genuine engagement with something larger than today. The problem is the hidden belief layered underneath them, the belief that the goal is carrying the meaning, that without arrival, you are not yet where you should be. Carol Dweck's research on mindset, documented in Mindset, the New Psychology of Success, points towards something quietly important here. People with what she calls a growth orientation tend to derive real satisfaction from the process of developing, not just from the moment of completion. The achievement still matters, but it is not the location where meaning lives. This is a slow shift, not a fast fix. It means catching yourself in the middle of the arithmetic. It means asking, honestly, what am I actually experiencing right now, not what will I feel when this is over. It means noticing that the version of yourself waiting on the other side of the goal is still, inescapably, you, same nervous system, same unresolved patterns, same Tuesday evenings. That is not a reason for despair. It is an invitation to take the present seriously. The life you are waiting to begin is already running. The achievements ahead of you will be real and worth pursuing. They will shape you, open doors, generate genuine pride. They just will not be the cure. Understanding that, truly understanding it, rather than just nodding at it in the abstract, changes how you move through every ordinary day between now and then. The goal becomes a direction rather than a rescue. And that is a different and steadier way to live. If this kind of careful, research-grounded thinking about the mind is what you are looking for, this channel is built around exactly that. Subscribing means building a more honest map of how your own psychology actually works.